On the evening of March 5, 2025, President Donald J. Trump delivered his annual congressional address, marking a pivotal moment in his second term. The address, clocking in at 1 hour and 40 minutes, shattered the record for the longest modern presidential address. This record-breaking length underscored the weight of the issues at hand and the sheer volume of President Trump's policy pronouncements. From the outset, it was clear that this address would be far from ordinary. The House chamber was filled with the traditional pomp and circumstance, with members of Congress, the Supreme Court, and the President's cabinet assembled. However, the air crackled with an unusual tension, a palpable sense of anticipation for the President's words. As President Trump took the podium, his demeanor was confident, even defiant, setting the stage for an address that would be as memorable for its delivery as for its content. President Trump's address was undeniably partisan, reflecting the deep political divisions that have come to characterize American politics in recent years. He did not shy away from criticizing his Democratic opponents, accusing them of obstructionism, and of putting partisan interest ahead of the nation's well-being. At one point, the address took a dramatic turn when President Trump directly addressed Representative Al Green, a vocal critic of his administration. The president's words were met with a mixture of boos and cheers from the assembled lawmakers, highlighting the stark polarization that has come to define the American political landscape. This moment of direct confrontation encapsulated the broader tone of the address, which often felt more like a campaign rally than a traditional State of the Union. The president seemed to relish the opportunity to spar with his opponents, feeding off the energy of his supporters in the chamber. A significant portion of President Trump's address was devoted to defending his administration's economic and foreign policies, particularly his controversial tariff strategy. He argued that the tariffs imposed on goods from China, Mexico, and Canada were essential to protecting American jobs and industries from unfair trade practices. He remained steadfast in his belief that these tariffs would ultimately benefit the American economy, despite growing concerns from economists about the potential for a trade war and its impact on American consumers. Turning to the international stage, President Trump addressed the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, acknowledging a recent letter from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He reiterated his administration's support for Ukraine's sovereignty, while simultaneously criticizing European nations for not providing enough financial assistance to the embattled country. The president's remarks on Ukraine were closely watched, as they came amid reports of a growing rift between the White House and the intelligence community over the administration's decision to temporarily halt military aid to Ukraine. The reactions to President Trump's congressional address were swift and divided, mirroring the partisan split evident in the House chamber. Supporters praised the president's forceful defense of his policies and his unwavering commitment to putting America first. They saw the address as a sign of his strength and resolve in the face of relentless opposition. Detractors, on the other hand, criticized the address as being divisive, dishonest, and out of touch with the realities facing ordinary Americans. They pointed to the president's attacks on his opponents and his misleading claims about the economy as evidence of his unfitness for office. The address also sparked immediate responses from the international community. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced her intention to speak with President Trump directly to address the tariffs, hinting at the possibility of Mexico seeking alternative trade partnerships. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, rejected President Trump's request to freeze foreign aid approved by Congress, setting the stage for a continued legal battle over the balance of power between the executive and legislative branches. As the dust settled on this historic address, one thing was clear. President Trump had once again dominated the national conversation, leaving a trail of controversy and uncertainty in his wake.